Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for watching the 15th Symposium of Irish Studies in South America, Virtual Encounters. And now I'm very pleased to welcome our 5 guests from Argentina that I'll introduce to you in a moment. And I say that if you have any questions, it's possible to use the chat or ask the questions at the end of the 5 presentations, all right? So our first guest is Professor María Graciela Eliggi. María Graciela holds a degree in translation and also in Irish language and literature from the National University of La Plata, and a master's degree in Anglo-American literature from the National University of Rio Cuarto, Argentina. Between 1982 and 2017, she taught regular courses on English language, literature, and literary theory at the National University of La Pampa, retiring as full professor. Congratulations, Mariela.
Thank you.
She has published articles in national and international journals and presented papers in conferences in Argentina and abroad. She has co-edited and published books on literature and culture. From 2017 to 2019, she was the president and co-founder of Association de Estudos Irlandeses del Sul, now a member of AEIS Council, and at present, she teaches postgraduate courses and is an external project, thesis as well as peer reviewer in many Argentine universities. She coordinates an 8-year research program, including 4 projects on contemporary Irish literature, history, and the Irish diaspora to Argentina and South America. So she'll present first. Then we have Mr. Justin Harman, who is a former diplomat who most recently served as Irish ambassador to Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Bolivia. In the period since 1993, he has served as Irish ambassador in Vienna to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, to the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, to the Russian Federation, and to states in Central Asia and Caucasus, and to Spain, where he was involved in various Irish studies initiatives. After joining the Irish Foreign Ministry, he first served with the Irish Embassy in Buenos Aires in the 1970s. During his most recent posting as ambassador to Argentina until 2017, he was involved in various projects to develop Irish studies in Latin America, including the establishment of the extracurricular chair of Irish Studies at the University del Salvador in Buenos Aires, and also further in collaboration with the University of Notre Dame. He was awarded a doctorate honoris causa by the University del Salvador in 2018 for his work in the development of Irish studies in the region, including the founding of the Association de Estudos Irlandeses del Sul in 2017. He served as a special envoy of the Irish government for South and Central America in the context of Ireland's successful candidature for membership of the UN Security Council in 2021-2022. He's currently acting as president of the Association de Estudos Irlandeses del Sul and is a contributing lecturer to the 2020 Diplomatura em Estudos Irlandeses of the Universidade del Salvador. Paula Ortiz is a sworn translator, scientific literary translator and bachelor in English, graduated from Universidad del Salvador, Master in Business Administration, graduated from the International Program Universidad del Salvador, Universidad Elstu, Spain, and PhD in Education Science, graduated from Universidad del Salvador. She's head of the School of Modern Languages at Universidad del Salvador. Mrs. Ortiz specialized in higher education and university management. She's director of the Technological Development Program and project manager in Texal Foundation, managing extension and training activities at Universidad del Salvador. She's a member of the board of directors of Texal Foundation Technological Development Program. She's a full member of the Argentine Academy of Arts and Communication Sciences. She's a member of the Executive Academic Commission of the Extracurricular Chair of Irish Studies at Universidad del Salvador and Vice President and founding member of the Association of Irish Studies of the South. As a researcher, she participates in the research project Critical History of the Southern Cross newspaper in the field of Irish studies. Then we have Verónica Repetti. She's a sworn translation from Universidad del Salvador and holds a degree in accounting from Universidad de Buenos Aires. She's currently pursuing a doctorate in educational sciences at the Universidad del Salvador. She's the academic pro-secretary at the School of Modern Languages of University of Salvador, where she also lectures in the chair of English language. She's a tenured professor of accounting, economics and finance at the legal translation course of Universidad de Buenos Aires. She's also a member of the editorial board of the academic journal Ideas. She's a member of the Executive Academic Commission of the Extracurricular Chair of Irish Studies and founding member of the Advisory Board of the Association of Irish Studies of the South. As a researcher, she participates in the research project Critical History of the Southern Cross newspaper in the field of Irish Studies. And Viviana Keegan holds a degree in literature from the University of Buenos Aires and a diploma on childhood education and pedagogy from Faculdade Latino-Americana de Ciencias Sociales. She's co-organizer and teacher at the Diplomatura de Estudos Irlandeses and researcher at Universidad del Salvador. She's carrying out a research on the children of the early Irish community in Argentina and the building of their Irish identity. Her fields of research are childhood, children's literature, and Irish history for children. She has written and researched on the Irish and in Latin America children's fiction, on gender study issues, in the history of Argentina's children's literature, and on Spanish education for girls during Franco's regime. She's a member of AEIS in Buenos Aires. So we are pleased to welcome our guests. And the first one is Mariela, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so thank you all and be welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? No.
El botón verde abajo, Mariela.
Sí, pero... Perdón. I can't see that button. My goodness.
Si te vas arriba de todo también puedes fijarte.
A ver. No. Porque aprieto share screen, eso estaba. But hear me.
¿Ya? Después
Bueno.
share screen, busca en Basic y tenés el PowerPoint.
A ver. Recién funcionó cuando lo probamos, pero bueno. No sé qué pasa ahora. Share.
Ahí está.
Okay, thank you very much, Paula. And I will do like this now. Okay. Right. So, shall I start then? Thank you, Elisa, for your introduction and for sharing with us this roundtable. Thank you to all the people at ABEI for this wonderful symposium as well. And thank you for the Justin and I suppose because you called this roundtable initiatives or new initiatives that I found a title which is so timely for the round table and for the era, okay? Because we are in times of new initiatives all the time. We have to resort to our creativity and to put in all the things we do every day the best we can to make this world better. So I think that the title of the round table is really timely, not just for Irish studies, but for the whole situation worldwide. Okay, new initiatives in general need to be constructed upon past initiatives or the things that we have done before. So I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to go a little way back to our particular case in the University of La Pampa when we started with Irish studies. Okay, that was 2006, 2014. We devoted our research time mostly to carry out research on Irish studies and to translation. That is to say, we translated during that period works of critical and socio-historical relevance, okay, mostly. Apart from that, and as one of our objectives, we also taught several courses in the different subjects that we were working with at the university, okay? So from that period, we produced these 2, for example, books. One has to do with interviews with Irish contemporary writers. That was a result of one of our first projects. And then also in the field of social history, this book, which was not a book in itself, but part of the catalog that accompanied the exhibition on Roger Casement in South America or in South America, okay. Mariana Bolfarini had translated it from English to Portuguese with great success, and we translated it here into Spanish. But that was back. Okay, so here we have these details of both books. Later on, we continued and we are reaching the present time with other projects, okay? We started in 2015 and we will continue up to 2023 with a research program, not a project, which is called Contemporary Literatures in Dialogue. Okay, this research program at the moment has or contains, has contained 5 research projects. 4 already concluded in the past, okay, from 2015 up to 2019, and we are we have this book as a result of one of the projects of that program. The project was a project that dealt with the relationship between Argentina and Ireland in these 3 important years, 1816, 1916, 2016, okay? The book was a book that contained critical articles by different authors. And so we translated from English to Spanish, from Spanish to English, and we worked with the edition also of the book. In the year 2019, we completed a translation that had taken us a lot to complete, which was this book, Xó Crítico, on the basis of Rosalí Rajal Haddad's book, Xó o Crítico in Portuguese, containing critical essays by George Bernard Shaw and the author's, Haddad's, views and analysis, in-depth analysis of Shaw's essays, okay? And that was something that we presented last year precisely in the symposium in São Paulo. Okay, so we were there in translation and also in the edition of the book. Now, the ongoing research project, or the 5th project that we are working with, is called Dialogues in Contemporary Irish Literature. The project began last year and is going to last until 2021 or probably 2022 if we take the option of an extension of 1 year. The project deals with things such as varied as history, memory, trauma, both in literature and in the social sciences. We have conducted, or we are conducting, this research project, which is coordinated by 2 of our professors here at the University of La Pampa, and both Laura Izarra and me are helping and working as advisors for that project. The project is dealing or working from a socio-critical perspective, also from the perspective of the systemic functional grammar rules, and on the basis also of translation studies. So these 3 theoretical approaches or perspectives or theories, as you want to call them, help us and all the researchers in the work we are doing. Of course, there are within the project subgroups of researchers working in different of these, in these 3 fields: in translation, social criticism, and this linguistic analysis, let's say. Also, as part of these new initiatives, and I must say that retiring for me was a wonderful experience, also a new initiative. I decided not to postpone the moment of my retirement, and really that helped me to help others. That's why we could then finish with a translation like the one on Shaw, which had taken us years and we couldn't complete it, and now we could work on that and find the possibility to publish the book in the end, okay? Also accepting other invitations, for example, like this one, that the general editor from the University of Firenze or Florence in Italy had sent to prepare a special edition on Irish and Latin American to be published in 2021. So in the past, in my particular case, I was just coping with or having too many things under my responsibility. And so after retirement, I could accept this kind of offer, for example, to co-edit a journal, which will give the possibility not only to the researchers in my university, because for example, this call for papers is circulated worldwide, but the possibility to include in the call for papers topics that I know are being discussed, studied, researched along the world, but especially in our country. So that could be an advantage. And now that I have the time, I took this possibility as a good one and this initiative as a positive one. Also, we are, as part of our research project, working on translation. We are translating at the moment the book Roger Casement, the biography of Casement by Angus Mitchell. This is in process and will be finished perhaps by the end of the year. I thought that it was going to take less because I said, well, the pandemic is going to help, in my case, to help me. I will have a lot of time. And then in the end, I found that I have so many things to do that it will be ready for the deadline, but not earlier. And so we continue working in our team with this project. And we also started working with extension activities derived from our research program. We presented last Monday the science cafes on Irish contemporary writers, so I will not abound on this. We propose to have these science cafes not only in Santa Rosa, but also in the campus in General Pico, and try to drive or draw from those encounters with the local community to get some interviews with Irish descendants that might be present in the region. One of the northern cities in the province of La Pampa had been founded especially by an Irish settler. So perhaps we could have some contacts there for the future. Another extension activity derived from the research program will be to launch our own university Irish Writers Book Club, following the trend that of the Embassy of Ireland initiative. We thought that, and we talked about this with the current ambassador, O'Halloran, to have it here in La Pampa, both in English and in Spanish. That is to say, we'll have to work in different groups. So in English, for those who can afford the reading of texts in English, but also in Spanish. And I want to make a point here because the university has a senior adults program, and I know that they are interested in reading Irish texts, but also what we need is to have them translated into Spanish. But we have some material not translated by us, but by others like Jorge von der Brieder or others from other parts of Spain or America. Okay, another extension activity is the visit of the ambassador of Ireland to Argentina, Jacqueline O'Halloran-Bernstein. She was going, or perhaps we have to do it virtually first, and then when time or when the pandemic ends, we can insist on this invitation. She was going to lecture here and to be present for the launching of the book club. So she was going to lecture here for the people in La Pampa. Well, we thought about bringing new exhibitions. We had brought the Casement exhibition, the Yates exhibition, and we were thinking of bringing the Latin American important names in Latin America, and the one that Margaret Brejoni had organized and we saw in Cuba, to bring it here, or others, okay? And also our idea is to establish new links with other universities, both in Argentina, to broaden Irish studies horizons in other universities, and also widening the research community, because we have contacts with Córdoba, we have contacts with Rio Cuarto, with USAL as well, of course, but not with USAL, for example. We'll have to perhaps strengthen the links as regards research or other activities. So our idea is to continue working and continue developing. The extension side is something that, again, before we haven't thought of. This year, or by the end of 2019, both Professor Basabe and María Isabel Arriaga, both of them suggested this possibility, and I accepted again because before I had no time for so many things, but now I do have it, and I want to help them and others in all I can to develop the area and the field. Okay, I think that would be more or less the idea. These are our new initiatives, and that would be all so far. So thank you very much, and I'm eager to listen to what the girls and Justin are going to present now, and then to share the discussion. Thank you very much.
Justin?
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for Elisa to suggest I go forward. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Justin.
Not at all, not at all, Elisa. First of all, thanks to you for moderating the session, and thank you to all who are participating today. This is, I think, an important connection for our grouping, for our newly founded association. Obviously, ABEI is the doyenne, I suppose I should say, of the Irish studies movement, let's call it, in the region. So it's obviously important for our association, recently founded, which is, you know, closer to a network than association in many respects, to learn from it and to ensure that we have the closest possible collaboration. And obviously a very good way of doing that is through this symposium. The other reason, of course, why I'm delighted that we had been able to organize this is because, of course, the subject, virtual encounters. We are all finding ourselves in a new situation, as Mariela has just said, and we have to think creatively. And the subject today, I think, for our discussion is how we might best be able to use the current circumstances, perhaps to build something which will have a life beyond the pandemic in the area of Irish studies. So I wanted to talk about that. Obviously, the Irish studies movement in Argentina is hugely indebted to many people, but one person in particular, and that's, of course, Laura Elisa. I'm not sure if Laura is with us today, but she is obviously a very important figure, and we obviously will want to, you know, maintain that relationship with her. So that's the reason why this was important for us. I'm going to talk a little about what I think is a possible trans-frontier approach to Irish studies in the Spanish-speaking world. But before doing so, I just wanted to mention a little my own background actually with the Irish Studies movement. I was remarking the other day in the course of the Diplomatura, the new diploma course that is being offered through the Universidad de Salvador here, and this will be expanded upon by Paula and by Verónica later, that Irish Studies, of course, is to some degree now, I think, at risk of being taken for granted. But I am long enough in the tooth to be able to remember very clearly the days when, in fact, there was a serious questioning amongst academics as to whether there was a seriousness to the idea of Irish Studies. This, as a discipline, as a separate discipline, as it were, Irish Studies, insofar as it was understood, came out of the primarily language, philology, language, and to a degree history, but always seen as a subset, not as it were as a subject in its own right. And in the 1980s in London, when I was working there, it was very interesting because the first movement to establish an Irish Studies course and then subsequently an association, the first moves were taken in very difficult times in Anglo-Irish relations. They were perhaps the most difficult years of the Troubles, coincided with the attack on Thatcher, the bombings in Hyde Park and Harrods in London. Very, very difficult years in Anglo-Irish terms. Terrorist actions by the IRA and a very deteriorating political situation in Northern Ireland, and serious differences of approach between London and Dublin and Belfast. And in that very difficult context, there was an attempt made by academics to look at Ireland, not just simply Irish academics who were working in England at the time, but academics from a number of disciplines, as to how one might try to use the idea of Irish Studies as a way to broaden understanding of the context of what was happening in Ireland, to try to explain, to try to understand. And one of the prime movers in this was Marianne Elliott in the University of Liverpool, who's the author of, I think, the definitive account of the United Irishmen. And the founding of that centre and subsequently of the association, I think, broke the mold, in a sense, for Irish Studies, certainly in Britain. And of course, separate then, there was the significant development of Irish Studies in key universities, institutions in the United States. A lot of them funded by significant donations from individuals, but with important support from in the universities, whether it's Notre Dame, the Boston College, NYU, the Glucksman, a very, very significant number of institutions. That was another stream. There wasn't really a question in the United States or a questioning in the United States as to the credibility of Irish Studies as a discipline, but whereas that was in Britain still an issue, and that perhaps should be seen in the context of the rather complicated political situation in which we then found ourselves. Then, of course, there was an expansion in Europe. There was the foundation of the various national associations, including the association in Spain, La Asociación Española, and others. And then there was the founding of the European Federation. I think all of this has, I just mention it to make it clear that it is relatively new. And there are advantages to this because, of course, it means that one can more easily break molds and go in new directions, as I think we may find we will have to. One of the interesting aspects of the development of Irish Studies has been the way in which it has moved from the faculties of letters, from modern languages and from history, and created a balance with what I call the study of contemporary Ireland in all its aspects. And there are some, in fact, interesting courses now being given on contemporary Ireland, particularly the Ireland since 1960, which in many ways, if you look at contemporary Ireland, is essentially the el momento bisagra, the turning point, and how that came about, and how a society in transformation, its modernization, how that is happening, and the implications. And that is something which I think is interesting, and in my experience is increasing of interest to students. In fact, even those who are coming from a literary studies or historical studies background, attempting to understand through the medium of what is happening in contemporary Ireland is seen as quite relevant. And I think if we look, and I think it's Verónica will be speaking about this later, if you look at the interests that people have expressed in the diploma, we have over 30 students. It's interesting the level of interest there is in that aspect, and that's something which we I think will find is not confined to Argentina. I think that would be equally true in other countries of the Spanish-speaking world, and that's something I'll come back to. But just to come back to Argentina, obviously there was a very important development. Argentina were essentially the only country of any organized migration in the Spanish-speaking world. Obviously has been a source of much academic work over the years, and in a sense, the association is the beneficiary of work that has been going on for such a long time. I mentioned Laura earlier. There are others as well, particularly Edmundo Murray, who has done such sterling work, and all that went into SAILAS and the irlandeses.org website and the resource that have been developed. However, there wasn't, in a way, an association. There wasn't any organization that took this work and placed it on a more permanent continuum, if I can put it in those terms. There was a focus on individual events, particularly the conferences, very successful conferences that took place. But what we were trying to do with the establishment of the association, at least this is my interpretation, was precisely to give this continuum, so that we would be able to build something larger in the future. So that, in a way, was the background, moving from the huge amount of work that had been done and continues to be done. Some of it was mentioned there by Mariela, and then, of course, the sort of project that is taking place still, the critical analysis on the Southern Cross in the Universidad El Salvador. This work is continuing, but that there would be a network, an association established in this part of the world that would, as it were, give this more permanent continuum. And that's something which I think since the foundation has been working fairly well. Mariela was the first president, so she might be able to speak to that. We had the conference in Santiago. Obviously, the focus on conferences, because of what we're going through, has weakened, and we're now looking at new new formats and new ways of taking the work forward. Just before leaving it, I know that Paula will be talking about this later, but on the subject of the association, there was quite a lively debate on the name of the association, and we ended up with what I would think is probably best described as a sort of constructive ambiguity in relation to the SUR, Asociación de Estudios Irlandeses del Sur. The question is, del sur de qué? Now, there was a debate as to whether we were talking about the southern cone. There was one proposal that we would call it El Cono Sur, the southern cone. That, of course, had problems. El Cono Sur, in many ways, would include Brazil, or might include Brazil, might not include Brazil. Then there was the suggestion that we were talking about El Sur, Sudamerica. So we ended up with this, I think, useful constructive ambiguity, which we've been able to work with. But the main point, I think, here is that we have an association that is, first of all, focused on the Spanish-speaking world. And that we have a very wide interpretation, and we were hoping to widen the contacts in other Latin American Spanish-speaking countries. So that I just wanted to make, but perhaps we'll talk about that a little later on. The big development here was obviously the establishment of the cátedra in the Universidad del Salvador. There had been very valuable work done on this by a number of people, including, of course, Juan José Delaney, who and others. It was a major development that when the rectorate, the then rector Tobias, who approved the establishment of the extracurricular diploma, chair, and at the time when the association, when the diploma was being thought about, it was considered it would be useful in the context of the chair. So that was why we were so delighted that it was possible to respond when the proposal of the diploma course was born again, as it were, and the work that has been put into this by Paula, by Verónica, but of course, most importantly by Viviana and by María Eugenia, who is unfortunately unable to be with us today, but both of whom are charging ahead with the various modules. I just wanted to say that it seems to me we are, all of us, in quite an unprecedented situation. I suppose that's a bit of a cliche, but nonetheless true. And we do have to think quite creatively. And what's interesting to me, and I've just done some very preliminary work on this, is that there is actually nothing equivalent to this diploma available anywhere in the Spanish-speaking world. I think it's interesting to think that it might be possible for us to think of expanding on this, in a way, pilot project, perhaps in addition to something that is more Argentina-centric, but having it also a course that could, on the basis of interinstitutional cooperation, develop a course rather like this, perhaps, as I say, less Argentina-specific, and offer it to a wider country. I mean, this wider number of countries. This is, of course, not confined to Argentina, this present course, but it was born with a view to the situation in Argentina, and its focus is inevitably on that. But what one could imagine is that we could look at, perhaps through a feasibility study that we might be able to talk about in the course of our discussion with interested individuals, how one might go about creating such an offer through on the basis of cooperation between, as I say, a university or universities in Argentina and elsewhere. I know from my own experience, I was working in Spain and I had a fair degree of dealings with the Asociación in España. There isn't, even in Spain, anything similar, and yet there is clearly a similar level of interest. And the question is, how might we be able to move forward? I don't think that it should therefore, in that sense, be seen necessarily as being Latin American only, because of course there is Spain itself. And with the development of technology and the capacity to move asynchronously, then one could imagine a situation where such an offer of a course could be offered both in this region and in and elsewhere. We have scheduled a meeting, or are scheduling a meeting with our colleagues in Spain in the next week or two to talk about this. But obviously we'd be enormously grateful to receive any responses from our friends in ABEI, and it clearly is a new challenge, and it hopefully will be looked at in the context of what is the theme of this symposium, which is virtual encounters. It's how we can, working in a virtual world, manage to enrich the possibilities in terms of what is available in Irish studies in the Spanish-speaking world. I will close there and look forward to participating in the conversation. Thank you very much, Elisa.
Thank you, Justin. And now Professor Paula Ortiz, right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Well, we are running a little short of time, so I'm going to skip some parts of the speech I had for today because it's not that relevant. But what I wanted to say is that the university has a vocation for the Irish studies that was reflected for various years from now, and especially since the visit of President Michael D. Higgins to Argentina in October 2012. So as from that date, the university has carried out different activities that have aroused interest of students, graduates, scholars, and members of the Argentine Irish community. I tried to share, but I can't share either. I don't know what's going on. Let me check. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. All right. There you go. Okay. So I had a quite large introduction, which I'm going to skip because we don't have much time. So I'm going to go directly into the creation of our extracurricular chair of Irish Studies created at our university, based in the School of Modern Languages, and a chair that stands as a focus for the spread of the Irish culture in its linguistic, literary, and historical manifestations, and in those of Irish immigrants in Argentina and its descendants. It also promotes the interaction with other universities, both in Ireland and in other communities, in other countries. And of course, we try to relate to other institutions which have chairs related to Irish studies. There we go. So the general objective of our extracurricular chair is to strengthen the cooperation, dialogue, and cultural exchange between Ireland and Argentina, as well as providing a service to the Irish community and their descendants living in Argentina, and also that those who want to re-articulate their culture and integrate with their adopted country, that in this case is Argentina, or their country of birth, those who are really born in Ireland and have come to our country. So I wanted to share with you some of the activities that our chair does. For example, courses and seminars on Irish history, culture, and language, the creation and development of research programs, for example, on history and culture, on general knowledge, the analysis and research on mechanisms for scientific, technical, and cultural cooperation between both countries, international conferences, educational, culture, and scientific exchange activities between both countries, and also publications and presentations of books by Irish authors and Irish themes. So to make it a little bit easier to understand, I have some pictures here from all the activities we have developed during these years, courses and seminars, for example, where we had received and have them talk to our audience, Mark Harman, Declan Kuyver, Laura Izarra, and Eber Walsh. Oops, this is so sensitive. There you go. Dermot Keogh, Laura Izarra again for a presentation about Roger Casement, Carolina Amador, Eber Walsh, and the last one we had just before the pandemic was Marcus Amuch. We also have participated and organized some international cooperation. As you can see there, we have some of the, at the Irish Embassy in Argentina, at our university, at the University of Notre Dame, and also at the University College Cork. Here you have some more pictures of all the activities we've done, our recent visit to Cork, and there we visited the library where we can see we had the opportunity to see the microfilms for the Southern Cross. Then we have some cultural exchanges for St. Patrick's festivities, music recitals also, and the exhibition on Roger Casement that Laura Izarra Bratori came to talk about at our university. We had some master classes from Dermot, Mark Harman, Declan Kuyver, Finola Kennedy, Laura Izarra, Dennis Rafter, and Eber Walsh. And we also had a symposium, the first symposium on Irish studies at our university. And there you can see a picture right here in the middle. That was the last panel with Laura Izarra, with Mariela Eliggi, with María Eugenia Cruset, Dermot Keogh, and Chris Fox. And that was the first time we talked about conforming an association of institutions in that case, but later on we had the association that Justin was talking about. We also participated in international conferences. We held some in another international conference on Irish topics. We participated in the last Silas conference in Dublin. This was in Sao Paulo last year. And also we devoted our chair to presentations of books. And there you have some examples of the ones we had during these last years. But I wanted to highlight the research activity that we have at USAL, because we are dealing with the Southern Cross, which is a very rich source, not only for linguistics, also for literature, for social studies, for history. So it really has a lot of ways in which we can take advantage of this great source of research, right? Then we also another publication was the book on Juan Jose Delaney. He graduated as he has actually a doctorate degree in our school, and this is his thesis. And also the publication of Dermot Keogh's book, La Independencia de Irlanda, la Conexión Argentina, that was translated into Spanish by a group of our students. This in the picture, you can see all the students who participated in the translation, coordinated by our Verónica Repetti, and also with the general supervision of María. It was a very, very interesting translation project, and we hope to repeat it sometime. And also, there is another project that we had that was Irish Voices. It has to do with literary translation, and a group of our students, together with their teacher, Magali Libardi, they translated works from authors of the 19th century. And those were, the translated works were The Limerick Gloves by Maria Edgeworth, 1804. An Excellent Opportunity by Julia Kavanagh, 1850. The Open Door by Charlotte Riddle, 1882. Maureen and Katie by Catherine Tynan, 1896. And After the Famine by Emily Lawless in 1887. So as you can see, this work, these translations were published in our scientific magazine, Ideas. And it's a very important way of making this project known for all the public. You can access to our magazine on the internet. So this is what we do at the extracurricular chair of Irish Studies. And so if you are interested in visiting the chair, you can see our activities there. On my other part of the talk, I had to talk about when our association was born. So the Asociación de Estudios Irlandeses del Sur was born on the 27th of October in 1917, 17, at Universidad Nacional de La Pampa. We held a very special meeting, and finally we came up with this association. Justin was telling you about some of the conversations we had before we finally had the association created. So as you can see, the picture on the left is the day before, some 2 or 3 months before this meeting I'm talking about now, that was held at the embassy, at the Irish embassy in Buenos Aires. And so we decided to go to La Pampa and finally created our association. And the Constitutional Act reads, in Santa Rosa, province of La Pampa, on October 27th, 2017, the undersigned meet to formally conform and give authorities to the Association for Irish Studies of the South in compliance with the agreement on August 17th, 2017 by the founding partners gathered at the Irish Embassy in Argentina. The association founded here aims to study and disseminate Ireland, its culture, its language, its literature, its art, its history, and its society, among other aspects, particularly in relation to the diaspora in the southern region of America. Likewise, this association aims to study the life of the Irish in the region, their descendants and their community they founded, their contributions to the societies of the region, and contribute to the preservation of their identity. So here's a picture of all the founding members that were there at La Pampa on that day. And afterwards, we participated and organized some congresses and some activities. Here you have the Joint Symposium on Irish Studies that we held in Chile in August 2018. And afterwards, we had the Congress, the International Congress, that was held in Chile in December 2018, that had the visit of many, many important people from all over the world. This is our visit to Dublin, the Silence Conference. And finally, on December 2019, we met again, and we had to elect a new president because the period was already due. So we had Justin elected as president. So here we are with the association, and this is the last activity we held before the pandemic thing. So it was in March in Buenos Aires Celebrates Ireland. It was very successful. We had many visitors. And The most important project that we are holding now is the project on the photograph project, Postcards of the Irish Immigration in Argentina. And you can visit that at the site that you have down there. And the coordinator is Viviana Keegan. There you have the team is conformed by all those people. And the important thing about this project is that it not only generates a photographic collection in order to preserve all those pictures, but also it opens up a new possibility for academic research. That was what we were talking about also with Justin. So here are the three last activities that we developed with the association. Some of you, I think, were participating. And so that is almost what I have prepared for you today for about the Association of Irish Studies of the South. So thank you very much. And now I leave the floor to Verónica, who's going to continue talking about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Paula, would you like to share the PowerPoint again? So while I talk, thank you. Well, so I would like to introduce you into more detail into the Diplomatura or Diploma in Irish Studies at our university, but mainly I would like to share with you the profile of our participants, which we find extremely interesting. So going back to what Justin was saying before during his presentation, this is very interesting in terms of being the first academic offer of its kind in Argentina. And although, well, as you have seen, we have been doing a lot of activities, a lot of conferences, a lot of events. There was not a systematic or formally taught, course of studies in Argentina that could deal with various fields of knowledge related to Irish culture and its links to Argentina as well. So we are very happy to have launched this Diploma in Irish Studies. We have just started this term. This is the first term we are doing this, and we started back in August, and we will extend into December. And so we intend to have a strong and significant national and international presence in the developing areas of Irish studies, as Justin said before. So this is our latest initiative, and it is a unifying element, or it is a result of all the years of work at the chair, and also through and with the help of the association. So there you can see the general objectives, which are to promote the dissemination and study of Irish culture in Argentina and abroad, to convey the most significant elements of the culture of Ireland and its diaspora, such as its history, literature, folklore, social and political aspects and economic aspects as well, and distinctive elements such as the Irish language. And here I will make a note, and I would say that we have also launched a course in Irish. So we have just started last Saturday, and so that is also a new initiative. Fernando Killian, or Ferry Killian, is teaching the basics of Irish to people who are interested in this language. And also we think that it's a great element of preservation of the language, or what we can do to preserve the language here from our corner of the world. Then to arise interest and academic reflection on the different aspects that make up Irish culture and identity, to foster the knowledge of the links between Irish immigration and Argentine culture, which are multiple and rich, and to explore the multifaceted and multi-layered aspects of Irish identity. And so here we have the 4 modules that constitute or make up this proposal. They are 4, you can see them there, but I won't expand on this, as Viviana will later on explain them in more detail regarding the contents. As regards the structure, it is aimed at graduate students from our School of Modern Languages, of course, but also to graduates from related courses of studies such as literature, history, geography. But as Justin was saying before, and then I will show you in another slide, we were happily surprised to see the variety and the diversity of interest and people coming from so many different disciplines, not only these that I'm showing here, that we are certainly happily surprised, as I said before, by the amount of interaction and the variety of fields that can contribute to Irish studies as well. What is interesting about this diploma is that it's not exclusive for graduates or postgraduate students, because it's open to people who are interested in Irish studies in general. So the requirements are to have a high school degree and a motivation letter. Well, again, and going deeper into the participants' profile, well, as you can see, this issue of the diploma is mainly made up of Argentine students. We have, currently we have 31 students, and 3 of them come from, one from Colombia, one from Peru, and one from Chile. So our idea, as we were saying before, is to expand on this. So we have the aim of expanding Irish studies to other Spanish-speaking countries, so that in future editions of the diploma we can have a widening, yeah, of this participation. Well, what is interesting, and again, this question of virtual encounters. So the diploma was thought initially to be taught at the university premises, but obviously with the pandemic, it was not possible. So virtuality, again, came as a blessing in disguise in this case, because as you can see, although half the people are taking the course from Buenos Aires, you see that the other half, mostly, they are taking it from different and varied parts of Argentina and of the world. So we have people from Patagonia, Bariloche, Comodoro Rivadavia, and Diadema. We have significant participation from Córdoba as well, which is at the center of our country, and then from other places in the province of Buenos Aires, but which are not so near the capital city, so that these people from Pergamino, Luján, etc., they wouldn't have been able to attend the diploma if it had been taught at the premises, as I said before. And then, of course, we have the people from abroad, Santiago de Chile, one who is now currently living in Pennsylvania, and Huila, Colombia. And then, as regards the disciplines, as I said before, you can see here a myriad of disciplines, and some of them are the ones that we expected, as you know, the participants would have. But for example, accounting or communication or biology even is was quite surprising, and we are glad of that. As regards the level of studies, as you can see, most of them are graduate or postgraduates, and this makes us think and reflect upon taking this initiative as the first step towards creating a master's degree in Irish studies. So we are currently evaluating that idea. As for the level of English, although the diploma is taught entirely in Spanish, we asked the participants beforehand whether they had a good command of English, because one of the problems that arose, and that Viviana will later talk a little bit about, was bibliography, especially in this time of isolation in which we don't have access to libraries or to printed material if we wanted to go and buy it. So some of the material, and also because there is more material in English than in Spanish regarding Irish studies. So we asked them if they had command of English so as to read the bibliography that the professors offered. And so we, again, most of them have a good command of English, so they are perfectly able to read the bibliography both in English and in Spanish. Then in this questionnaire, I forgot to mention that before they started, we launched a questionnaire to get to know a little bit more about them. And we asked about their Irish ancestry. So as you can see here, half of them have Irish ancestry. They are descendants from Irish families. Some the half of them are not, and some of them are not sure. So, but there we get to understand that the interest in Irish studies is wider, and this gives us hope, because if there are so many people that are not interested just because of family ties or family ascendancy, well, much the better for Irish studies in the future. We also asked about their interest in the Irish community in Argentina. Here it was more diverse, so some are more interested than others. We also asked if they had visited Ireland, and some had, but some said they hadn't yet. All of them obviously had that as an objective in the, I don't know now in the short term, but in when they can. And the two last items that we asked about were their interest in Celtic culture. So most of them declare having basic knowledge about the Celtic culture and a great interest to expand on such knowledge. And they were drawn to such interest by music, dances, and art manifestations. And so they, as you can see here in the last slide, literature, cinema, music and dance, and Irish history, particularly that of the 20th century, were their major interests. And you can clearly see that now that they are taking the course, because apart from, taking the classes and attending the lectures, they also have a very, very enriching exchange of suggestions, and they have even created a group where they exchange suggestions and material that exceeds the material that we are suggesting from the university regarding, films or books or other tips. And there's always something interesting going on. So I would say that there is social bonding also. And I must say that this being our first cohort of 31 students, we are very proud of them. And you will see a picture of them. This was at the welcome meeting before the first class. You can also see Ambassador Jackie O'Halloran, who attended. And so the embassy, first with Justin and now with Jackie, is always supporting this initiative. So we are very thankful about that. And so that's all for my part. And before leaving the floor to Viviana, I would like to thank Laura and Mariana in particular for having invited us to this wonderful symposium, and to Elisa for moderating this panel. So thank you very much.
The microphone, Vivi. So hello, everybody, and I'm really pleased to be here today. Thank you, Mariana, Laura, Munira. Thank you very much, and thank you, everybody, for being here listening. And also, let me say that I am very happy to be working with this team, with Paula, Verónica, Justin, and María Eugenia, who sends you her regards because she couldn't be here, and also Mariela. So we have been exchanging ideas and material, and it has been very enriching. So as for the modules and the contents, as you know, there are 4 modules in the diploma. Classes are taught on Fridays and Saturdays, 2 hours for each module. So that makes 8 hours a week for the students. Module number 1 is Ireland, present, past, and future. And it was designed by María Eugenia, and she teaches it. And the purpose is an important purpose: to give an encompassing general and chronological view of the history of Ireland, from the Celts to the 21st century. That was an important point, a core in the diploma. Then module number 2, I designed it, this module, and I teach it, is about Irish identity and memory, the building of identity and memory, mainly through the 19th century and the 20th century. And it deals with the famine, the Gaelic League, the literary revival, language, education, folk songs, and the 20th century memorials, and how Irishness and history was transmitted to children. Then there is module number 3, history of Irish migration. And that's a long model, as you know, because it's a very sad story. And it was designed by María Eugenia, and both María Eugenia and I teach the different points.
It's an encompassing view of the diaspora, the States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, also Latin America, the forced emigration to the Caribbean, the independence wars and the soldiers, also Brazil, Mexico, Peru, and then an important focus on the Argentine community and a reference to Irish studies associations in the Latin American and in the world in general. Then we have the fourth module, that is the seminar, which was intended as a space to focus on a particular subject, on literature, politics, language, the arts, presented by a specialist. And the idea was to give also the course a new approach each semester. In this first course, we have the honor to have Justin teaching the seminar. And he has just designed a fantastic model that deals with Ireland and its relations to Europe and the world in the 20th and 21st centuries. And the contents are very rich. He analyzes economic, political, and cultural issues, the Free State, the Troubles, the European Union, the Brexit, women's role, etc. So as you see, this means we are working at the same time with different moments in Irish history. The Celtic origins, the 19th century, the 17th century, and the 20th century. And although the topics sometimes overlap, the approach is different in every module. So it's enriching. As for the resources, in classes and in homework, we include PowerPoint presentations, maps, short videos, poems, short stories, paintings, folk songs, films and photographs, stamps and banknotes to illustrate the subjects, especially in the case of the identity, for example. And as for homework, I am very pleased with the results of their homework, which are personal productions. For example, Approaching the Famine through a poem by Ivan Boland called Quarantine, about a couple's journey during the cruel winter of 1847, or through the Belfast City Hall stained glass about the Great Hunger, or Approaching the 1719 Rebellion through a song, The Wind That Shakes the Barley by poet Robert O'Dwyer Joyce. Now, as Verónica was telling you, just 2 words on the reading material. This course is meant for Spanish speakers, so we are teaching classes in Spanish. Reading English is welcome, but it was not an admission requirement, although most of the students, as you have seen, have an advanced level of English. Also, our access to libraries is impossible now due to the circumstances, so we are limited to online reading material. On the other hand, even if they wanted to buy some books, some of them are no longer available on the market, in the market. So we are limited to online Spanish reading material, and hopefully they can read something in English. Therefore, we propose material in Spanish whenever possible, and optional reading material in English. The students have a rich list of reference books and articles in both languages for general and specific topics, and they also have more information on demand if they are interested in some topic in particular. And then finally, at the end of this 4-month course, students are expected to hand a written work about a particular subject of Irish culture from a list of suggestions, or maybe a topic suggested by the student. This, we think, could be a great opportunity to have good research work on family stories from the community in Argentina. So we are debating that, preparing. So as Verónica said, the students are really enthusiastic It's a very nice group, and as the course progresses, they are more and more engaged. As I said before, I am very happy to work with this team also. And I think the students are enjoying the classes, but probably not as much as we do. And I think we are doing a very good job. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Viviana.
Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you. So thank you all for your brilliant presentations. And we have some comments here, right? And a question. Let me say it to you in the chat. Gisele asked, great program, comment and ask, great program you have there, congratulations. Anything on poetry there in your great program, Professor Mariela? Are you here?
Yes, yes.
Yes? Okay, thanks.
Yes, Gisele asks about poetry.
Yeah.
Of poetry, which of the two Giseles, who is the one that speaks? Gisele Volkov?
Volkov.
Okay, I can imagine, because she's an poetry translation.
Yeah.
Really, I must say that poetry is very difficult to translate, because mostly you need to be a poet or poetess to translate in the same way as poets do. But also, as part of my free time now, I worked with some poems by Elaine Gaston, a writer that we interviewed back in 2008, and I had sent her, she's from Northern Ireland, and I had sent her my first drafts, okay, of her poems in Spanish. Now she's recovering from an operation, so she asked me some time to read. She's bilingual. She has been living in Argentina and in Chile, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, but she reads Spanish, and she, well, also has her consultant. So poetry is a missing area for us, because as I said, I believe that you have to be a poet. I don't think that I am a poet myself, okay? But this friend of mine asked me, well, Mariela, if you can do it, I will be very glad. So I give it a try. Let's see what she says afterwards, because she's the writer, okay? So that's my answer.
Thank you. And a question for all of you is just a personal curiosity. Do you have plans for implementing this course online, this diploma in Irish studies, in an online format, or maybe a hybrid format?
Well, actually, the program is taught online now because of our the conditions we are living in, but still we have decided to turn it into an online course, because it's the only way we can reach all the public we want to, as Verónica was saying. I don't know if Viviana or Verónica or Justin want to say something else.
Okay, and so you have both formats, presential and online.
Vera?
No. Well, initially we were going to do it only presentially, but we went online by force, and we are planning to keep on going exclusively online, I would say, or maybe we haven't decided it yet fully, but it's the only way in which you can reach a wider audience or a wider group of students or of people interested in Irish studies in other places or other Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America. But as you were saying, Elisa, it's always nice to meet face-to-face, so a kind of hybrid can be devised also in order to have the possibility to connect in person and also to transmit online. So we are exploring these new alternatives in the face of what has happened this year. And so as soon as we know, we'll let everyone know.
Thank you. Thank you, Verónica. We have some comments here from Dr. Laura Izara, and she says that it's a very interesting program, good sense of Irish culture through different interdisciplinary perspectives. Giselle comments also that any ideas on including poetry projects in your programs, anyone working with poetic translations about the other projects and programs presented, maybe, she comments that maybe we could think of an anthology of contemporary Irish poetry and translation into Spanish and Portuguese. It's an idea here.
Yeah, that is certainly a great initiative. She said, maybe we can ask our literary translation teachers to see if they would be interested in this project. It's certainly a good idea. At USAL, we haven't attempted poetry neither. As Mariela says, it's a very special field, but why not? We can always ask our translation teachers. So thank you. Thank you for suggesting it. And yeah, we'll keep it in mind, definitely.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, all of you, for those brilliant presentations that you pleased us. I'd like also to thank Dr. Laura Izara for organizing the first online film series during this symposium, Mariana Bolfarini, and all the organizing committee team for this great event, which is working really well virtually. And thank you everybody who is watching us, and invite you for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day of the symposium. Yeah. And the first activity starts at 10 a.m. and it's an interview with the Irish writer Mary O'Donnell. So we have lots of interesting activities tomorrow, right? Panels from 11 to 1. And then another interview with director Alan Julianson, right? So in some other panels. So tomorrow is a great day, another great day. Okay, so thank you very much. And thank you all.
Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
let's hope we can all meet again soon.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
Indeed.
I think we all
with
share
Elisa, plus Elisa, plus Mariana, Laura, and all the friends from excellent symposium this one.
Just one last comment. Let me say that our students are already preparing a meeting at the Fahri Club whenever things are possible. So they are ready on the go.
Okay.
It sounds like a great evening is planned.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gracias.